There we go.
Okay, we're good to go now whenever you're ready.
Awesome. Okay, so again, this is my first time, so forgive me, everybody, if I'm slow, if I'm missing anything, and Ian, Phil, or anybody, please feel free to correct me on my mistakes. But I'd like to call to order board meeting of August 15th. And we'll now read a land acknowledgement. I'd like to acknowledge that the Wilfrid Laurier University and all of its campuses are located on the shared traditional territory of the neutral Anishinaabe and Haudenosaunee peoples. And with that, for regrets, going into this meeting, the only regrets that I knew of were Director Baldinelli not being here. But obviously there are, and Chair Abu-Rashid may be joining later, though that he will be in touch if he can make it. Other than that, who is not here?
Right, Alice.
That was sort
Yeah.
of
Baldinelli?
yeah.
Director Alice. That's just,
There should only be three yet.
there's time for that. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, there should only be three. So that's, yeah, okay. So Director Baldinelli, Director Ellis, and Chair Abu-Rashid cannot make it. So now I would like to put a motion forward for the agenda to be adopted as presented. Oh, yes, sorry.
Yeah, you just gotta ask if there are any conflicts of interest to declare.
Yes, sorry. Are there any conflicts of interest to declare? As I see none, I'd like to present a motion to adopt the agenda as presented. Can I get a second on that motion? Director Corey, now we'll vote on the motion. Any objections? Any abstentions? And all in favor?
Aye.
Yeah, I think we might be listening to one. She was like, I can't.
It's on.
I'm assuming your hand is up.
Can you guys see me?
I cannot see you, but
I'll say, yeah.
vote goes 0-0 to 7. Moving on from that, I would actually like to make an amendment to the consent agenda as to accept all except for GP2H, GP2D, GP2E, and GP2K, as the chair was not able to submit those for in time, but is expected to submit for the first September meeting. So I'd like to amend that all will be accepted except for the first 4, and for those to be expected to be submitted for the first September meeting. Can I get a seconder on that amendment? Director Spitzeri. Now let's vote on that amendment. Any objections? Any abstentions? And all in favor?
Aye.
So the vote goes 0-0 to 7. And now we have to vote on the amended motion, correct? Or I need a motion for the amended motion to be accepted. So can I get a Seconder. Thank you, Director Spitzeri. Now we will vote on the amended motion. Any objections? Any abstentions? And all in favor?
Aye.
So the vote is 0 to 7. So that amended motion will happen, and the chair will submit those 4 documents for the first September meeting. Okay, comments from the chair and the board. So obviously he is not here. He just asked me to give a little welcome. So welcome everybody. Thank you for coming. Those that are here. Again, apologies that I'm a little bit slow and new and unsure of how everything's going to run, but hopefully it'll all be smooth and won't take too much time out of your evenings. Are there any comments from the president and CEO?
Yeah, we're just clarifying something.
You good?
Okay. Yeah, a few things. So, just some general updates on what's been going on. One thing I wanted to tell you guys about that, oh, Sebastian, do you have a question?
Sebastian, do you have a question, or is your hand still raised from the vote?
Oh, okay. Okay. One,
He's gonna call in, he asked for the call information.
am I good to keep going on?
There's only six, I don't know.
So there's no decisions that have to be made during your updates, so your update should be fine.
Okay, so, super quickly, since we last met, a couple of things, obviously, are at the last meeting, so just some updates since then. Orientation week planning is going very strongly. We have a lot of things confirmed, pretty much almost everything confirmed, I can say safely, so we're super excited for that. Since I last saw you guys, I went to a couple different universities, which was interesting. I went to Western to tour their sustainability office and got a lot of ideas of how we can collaborate more with the sustainability office here at Laurier. Went to Brock as well and met with other student executives there. I also sat on a hiring panel for the new associate director of Res Life, so I was able to connect with people in that department. And as we will kind of get to in a different section of this meeting, we have some changes in our marketing department. So right currently, Phil and I are overseeing the department, so there's been a lot of work going on there, sending out communications to first years and different things like that. So that's about it. Our volunteer members are looking very strong. And yeah, honestly, very orientation week heavy right now, but everything's going pretty smoothly. Is there any questions I can answer? Okay, awesome, thank you.
Oh, I actually have a question. How was your vacation?
It was great, thank you for asking. It was really great.
Awesome. Okay. Updates for the ownership linkage committee. So unfortunately, between the chair and myself, there was scheduling conflicts and we were unable to meet since the last meeting. However, I do want to maintain that it is our plan and goal to be active and stay productive, especially compared to the last few ownership linkage communities have been last few years. So we will be working on meeting very shortly as a committee. And yeah, just wanted that reassurance. Similarly, goes for the direct inspection committee reports. I am not sure what is, yes.
Just on the mention of the ownership linkage committee, I did reach out to the president of LMA, like in a formal email, just kind of highlighting, hey, here's what we're potentially looking for in terms of aid and like branding some of the benefits SU and SU board can offer starting in the fall. I mean, he said he passed it on to his VPs of marketing and give me an answer within the week. So that's one avenue. I know it was one thing we mentioned, so just a little bit of progress on that. I made the initial reach out.
Oh, yes. Thank you, Director Spitzeri. Also similarly with my club that I'm doing some marketing for that. I've gotten some clearance that we will definitely be able to help out with ownership linkage operations for anything like that. So somewhat progress. That's yeah, Megan.
Sorry, my face isn't in the camera. I think you skipped the comments from the executive director and COO.
Rude.
I fully did do that. I'm sorry.
Go
Maybe director of Champagne.
ahead.
Well, I mean, if you guys want to finish the ownership linkage thoughts, we can always circle back when you're done.
Oh, I am sorry. I was almost finished or was finished. So let's just go to you.
You're doing great, Danny. You're doing great.
Like I said, I'm slow as first time. I'm sorry.
You're good, you're good.
Okay, so there's a lot going on, obviously, as we're kind of making the home stretch. It's gonna be orientation week in a little over 2 weeks, which is a bit of a mind bend for all of us who have been working on this stuff all summer. Some of the major stuff that's kind of happened over the last little while is the official financial audit has happened for the financial year of 2022-2023. So those portals have opened. We've been uploading documents for a little over a week and a bit now. And the auditors are continuing to ask us a bunch of questions. They may come to the board of directors and ask for permission to change one of the financial statements so that when they get ready to present the audited financial statements at the end of October, as per policy, it'll be a little bit easier to read and understand compared to what we've typically seen submitted by our auditors. As Megan alluded, our marketing department is in a bit of a state at the moment. So Megan and I are co-leading that team. The first search for the acting director failed. We made an offer to a candidate and we just couldn't come to terms on finance. So ultimately we ended up failing that search, and the second part of that search has now started. It's closed. We're reviewing resumes tomorrow, and so hopefully we'll be able to have somebody in place by middle of September to take over that department and take care of all the important things that marketing oversees. And then, yeah, Juju member services is hot and heavy as fees has been assessed for the fall. So a big part of their portfolio is the health and dental plan. The opt-out's been open since August 1st and will be going until September 22nd. We aim to have a health and dental plan email go out to all students of all years this coming Friday, which will give them opt-out information as well as where they can kind of find information on what the benefits of staying in the health and dental plan are for students. So all that information should be going out this Friday. In terms of just strategic initiatives that are going on, we're still working on the Brantford hospitality solution. We're optimistic that we'll be up and running and ready to go for September. We're just not entirely sure when in September that will be, as we are waiting for a lot of delivery of equipment, etc. We have a meeting scheduled for early next week with the university to kind of see what part they can play in helping expedite that process. We're also in the process of kicking off a Wilkes renovation project. That being said, we're not actually renovating, it's just a concept at this point. So the university is helping us kind of get people, architects and restaurant designers together to be able to put together something vibrant, have lots of focus groups and information sessions with students to try to get a better idea of what Wilkes could be in the future. And then if all goes according to plan, we'll be able to have a new look Wilkes as early as next fall. But we'll see how that plays itself out. And then everything else is all orientation week. There should be, as he gently raps on wood or a wood-like substance, a pretty major announcement as early as tomorrow with regards to orientation week and welcome back. We're really excited about what that could be for students, as it'll be very unique, but we just need all the I's dotted and T's crossed before that happens. So if not tomorrow, for sure this week, but our aim is to make that announcement tomorrow. And that's pretty much all the news fit for print at this moment.
Questions? Yes, Director Corey.
Sorry, I've been trying to get this to work. It is working, right? You can hear me?
Yeah.
Awesome. I've been trying to get it to work, so I'm gonna ping pong between the three of you, but I'll start with Phil. is there, I had noticed in the briefing material, there was something on that Wilfs was now offering halal items. Has that's been kind of resolved with where we were at on, we weren't sure whether we were able to provide them or not?
Well, I wouldn't call that situation resolved. I would call it ongoing. The Muslim Students Association, as well as the Center for Student Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion, have been kind of meeting with appropriate partners. So they've had several meetings as to the best of my understanding with both Wilfs and food services with the university. The meeting with the food services folks at the university went extraordinarily well, according to Tom Bourbonnais. And we're still in the process of trying to work through with Zelda, the meeting with Wilfs to kind of get involved and get there. It's more than likely going to be that we'll have halal products, but we cannot guarantee that from product delivery to food delivery in terms of plating it, that there can't be cross-contamination, but those are the details that our hospitality department will be working on with Zelda very closely before we open on September 1st.
Okay, awesome. And then I noticed the OWL devices up on the monitor. Is there, I know we were waiting on ICT to install it. Is that still what's happening with that?
So to the best of my knowledge, we have a work order placed, but as I'm sure you can imagine, as we get closer to September, getting work orders filled becomes a little bit more challenging because the pressure is on. So we will follow up with ICT later this week to find out what the work order situation is with regards to the OWL camera in Brantford. And maybe we'll add a new TV to that list.
We're looking that way. Next question for Megan, and I think this is my last one. Yay. Or sorry, not for Megan. This is for the vice chair. Kind of with the subcommittees and everything like that, is there anything that the board can do either individually or all together to best support you guys in getting those committee meetings settled and done?
That is a great question. Specifically with the direct inspection committees, which I can just pull up who were voted on those committees. As well, in talking with the chair earlier today, he said that he will be in touch with all the members of those two direct inspection committees. If everybody's not sure if they are on that committee or not. So the first one is direct inspection for EL2A is Director Spitzeri, Director Russo, and Director Ellis. And the second one is myself, Director Baldinelli, and Director Corey. So the chair or myself will be in touch later today, or later this week rather, for that to actually begin, and those committees will be strike and so yeah, the only thing I asked is for just to be ready to participate and find dates for those committees. Yeah, that's all I gotta say. If there are any other questions, Director Sloan, did you have your hand up earlier?
I'm going to hold off for now. Thank you.
All right. So if there are no more questions, I've really finished the updates about those specific committees. So I'd like to go into elections for the Finance Committee. This committee will be, from what I understand of it, and please fill me in what knowledge that I'm lacking, is for the fall semester to review financial budgets. And this committee will, as stated in the policy, will include the chair and 3 directors. So are there any nominations for that?
Sorry, I have the chair here.
Yeah, I'm back in the
Oh,
board. Do you
You
feel
want-
comfortable running the rest of the meeting, or do you want me to continue chairing it? It's up to you.
Let's. What would you rather do? I know you've had a bit of a long day.
It's fine. I can continue to. I can chair the rest of the meeting if you'd like.
Okay.
We
Let's
need
go back
to
to
get a motion.
So yeah, I'd like to present a motion for Chair Abu Rashid to continue the meeting as chair. Can I get a seconder on that motion? Director Russo, thank you, and let's vote. Any objections? Any abstentions? All in favor?
Aye.
Vote goes 0-0 to 7 or 8. Right. Go. So go ahead, Mo. Take over.
So I assume from where we're at on the agenda that we've gotten to the finance committee elections. As directors will know, if they have looked at the policy manual, the finance committee's role is to oversee the proper functioning of the financial operations of the students' union. We are not an audit committee, but we do verify that the audits were done correctly and that all financial policies have been followed, that the president has followed all financial policies. So what I personally would recommend, based on my experience last year, is to definitely have somebody with, finance, actuarial, or business acumen to put their names forward. I have a couple people in mind, but I'm not going to nominate them just yet. I highly recommend, if you want to be really make sure that our organization is actually doing its job, this is the committee that really serves its purpose. So I will now move into the nomination period. Do I have any nominations? Vice Chair Rubinoff, go ahead.
So I would like to nominate myself, Director Sloan, and Director Spitzeri.
Vice Chair, do you stand?
I will stand.
Director Sloan, do you stand?
I stand as well.
Director Spitzeri, do you stand?
I will stand.
All right. Director Hamilton.
I'd like to nominate myself for this position.
Okay, Director Hamilton, do you stand?
Yes, I do.
Perfect. If I recall correctly, the policy states a minimum requirement of directors, not a maximum. Is that correct, Ian? Or Phil? I don't know who's in the boardroom.
Yeah, it says the membership shall consist of the chair of the board and 3 directors to be elected by the board, but if you feel or deem it necessary to add another, as long as the committee can kind of meet, then that's within your discretion to adapt.
Okay, so I'm going to ask all directors that have decided to stand if they are willing to commit to this committee and make time for it as it is one of our crucial business functions. With that in mind, do all of you still stand for this committee? I'd be more than happy to accommodate all 4.
Yeah.
Perfect. We will now head into voting. Any objections to the election? Oh, wait, do I have to call a motion? Or
You would need to motion to claim the nominated directors, yes.
yeah, I'd like to motion that the Vice Chair Rubinoff, Director Sloan, Director Spitzeri, and Director Hamilton be elected to the Board of Directors Finance Committee. Can I get a seconder on the motion?
I'll second.
Director Corey seconds. Any discussion on the matter? Any questions?
I just have a quick question.
Go ahead.
I was wondering, could you confirm who audits Students Union? Is it still KPMG?
It is still
Yeah.
KPMG.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Any questions or comments on the nomination of the 4 directors? Okay, as I see none, we will now move into voting. Any opposition to the motion? Any abstentions to the motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Yeah, the motion passes 0 to 8. Thank you for voting. We will now proceed into the athletic sponsorship agreement led by the executive director. Go ahead.
So, if it's okay with the board, I'd like to just do a summary of what the agreement is, explain why I'm bringing it to the board. Pardon me. Ultimately, I would like to table the decision because I don't think that the brief has been finalized yet, and I'd like to give you guys some time to kind of sit with it. But so I think ultimately a decision can be tabled until September, but just kind of plant the seed of thought. I'll just do a quick summary if that's okay. Is that amenable?
It's amenable by me.
Okay, hearing no objections, then I'm gonna move on. Ultimately, the athletic sponsorship agreement is both a formal and informal agreement that we've had with athletics and recreation for a number of years, going back, honestly, as far as I can remember. The reason that it's coming to the board of directors is because the value of the contract, specifically where cash going one direction, has now exceeded the $10,000 limit, which is a pretty significant bump from years past. And so I explained to athletics when they dropped that price tag on me, that I would have to bring it to this board because everything over 10K has to come to the board for approval. It is worth noting that we do have about $4,000 currently budgeted for that sponsorship. So it's about kind of finding the other $6,000, which shouldn't be too hard. And we can kind of figure out those murky details in September. Ultimately, it's basically an exchange of both tangible and intangible assets between both organizations. On the back of the brief will include a list of the things that we get from athletics for that money, including a list of the things that we in kind give back to them. Ultimately, it ends up being about a wash in terms of what the value is that we're getting versus the value that we're getting, but ultimately it helps support the community in one of the front door or porch types of departments that a lot of people have engagements with. It includes getting back things like season tickets to a lot of the sporting events that happen on the Waterloo campus, supporting the intramural program through t-shirt sponsorship, etc. There's a lot of digital media through the digital screens and OUA TV and things of that nature. So we will be looking, there is some hard stuff as well. So for example, in the athletic complex here in Waterloo, there is shot clock signage. Currently right now, one is occupied by Wilfs, the other is occupied by Harvey's. We believe at one point, that was the Harvey's that exists in the Terrace Food Court, but there's zero documentation about that. So we would like to take over that Harvey's sign, replace it with a student union sign so that the shot clock signage is Wilson, the students union, so that we can start to tie those brands together in a more intentional way. There's also kind of triangle signage available at all of the field events. So for example, football, soccer, rugby, etc. There'd be Wilson Students Union sponsorship signage on the sidelines. I'll get that brief prepared before the September meeting with all those details, but just kind of want to plant that seed and let you guys start thinking about what that could look like.
What was the reasoning for such a massive change in overall?
So it's in terms, a big part of the increase is the value of the ticket sponsorship. So historically speaking, Morty's Pub here in Waterloo has been a sponsor on the ticket. So every ticket, physical ticket, had their logo and discount on the back, as well as every digital ticket. So we're going to be given that opportunity. And that's a huge thing over the course of any year because every ticket would have our branding and our messaging on it. And that's a big value. That's primarily the huge increase, also market adjustment, because I don't think anybody's ever actually taken a look at the numbers and properly adjusted them, if I'm being honest. That's not so much on our side, that's more on the athletic side, as that department is, in my opinion, notoriously under-resourced. which is why we went through some of the comprehensive student services stuff that we did over the last handful of months with the new student affairs advisory agreement. So we're in the process of trying to correct course and get athletics the funding that they need to kind of be a fully functional department. And that's all part of it, because there wasn't somebody with eyes on it, probably, to be honest.
Okay.
Are there any other questions for the executive director?
Wait, so just as we move on, does that mean Morty will no longer be sponsoring?
So that agreement has expired. I'm sure there will be some sort of sponsorship relationship with athletics and recreation, excuse me. But that particular piece is something that our hospitality department's been after for probably comfortably over a decade at this point. So we want to jump all over it, yeah.
Okay, well, I was just wondering, like, if they're losing outside sponsors, and that would
No.
of concern. And it's like we're coming into safety net, or if it's more of our intentional desire to be a bigger presence.
It's a bit of A, a bit of B.
Okay.
There is no formal agreement with Morty's. That's kind of an old school handshake deal.
Okay.
And so they're expiring that as they kind of run the stock and stuff. So it's an opportunity that since JS Scanthan was part of our hospitality team, he's been chomping at the bit to get that. He's now gone, but now the opportunity presents itself and we're gonna jump all over it.
Cool, awesome.
Just a quick follow-up question. I know it's it must be asked that anyway. During our negotiations, have we obviously tried to get the best deal that we can for our organization for the money that we're
Oh,
spending?
sure. That's a big part of the reason why I also want to table the decision, because there's numbers that athletics have associated with what we're giving them. And I believe those numbers to be low, and they're undervaluing what it is that we're giving them. So yes, 100%.
Okay, yeah, I just want to make sure that we're upholding our fiduciary responsibility to deliver the best value that we can for our ownership. Are there any further questions? Sorry, go ahead.
I would add that it's important to remember that athletics and recreation is also made up of our membership, so it's a little bit of Peter and Paul.
Of course.
Yeah.
Any other questions for the executive director? Cool. As I see none, we will now move into the fall semester meeting schedule. I'd like to start off by saying that since I've been in charge of doing the governance planning for this year, and the board has expressed interest in a variety of meetings with different partners and university partners and city partner and policymakers, that we have to make a schedule that will be tenable for working professionals. If we do what we did last year, which was to hold board meetings at like 7 p.m. or 8 p.m., the people that we would be interested in inviting would not be able to come. So it is rather important for directors to try to find a time that works in the middle of the week during regular business hours. That could kind of work for all of us. I know this is going to be a little bit of a tough ask, but go ahead, Director Spitzeri.
What percentage of total meetings are you expecting that we would need to be kind of shifting towards sort of midday, midweek sort of time slot?
So we are planning for the rest of the semester or the rest of the semesters, and ideally having a consistent schedule that does not change, at least for the fall, is the best course of action, especially considering that we all get very busy, obviously. So having something that is anchored in place is really important. This is not to, I do not plan on making a decision today or call the board to make a decision today on that matter, but I will have the governance coordinator send out a doodle poll or something of the equivalent to directors for you to answer. The expectation is for you to answer that poll within 48 hours of receipt. Please do so. I cannot hunt you all down to make sure that you answer. I don't have the time to do that, and neither does the governance coordinator. So please take that into consideration when responding to emails. So is the board amenable to kind of delaying this decision until like next week, and then we can connect via email? Once you send out all the responses, I will send 1, 2, or even 3 preferred times, and then we'll do an e-vote on a time that works for all of us. Does that work for all directors?
Yeah.
Yes, I was just gonna ask,
Go ahead.
if at all possible, sorry, I can't see anything else talking. If at all possible, if we could send that poll around the 23rd-ish. My course, I don't find out what courses I'm in until the 21st, so I won't be able to say with certainty until then.
So we can't wait that long because we are required by policy to meet twice a month during the fall and the winter semester. So the first meeting would have to be within the first 2 weeks of September. So please take that into consideration as well.
Sorry, I meant the as in next week, the 23rd of August.
So yes, we should have. So wait, do you want to give your suggestions by the 25th? Is that what you're
talking about? Figuring out what time works best for everyone, as in inputting our own schedules. I won't be able to figure out my schedule until the 21st, the earliest.
Okay.
So any point after that.
Okay, so I will make sure that the doodle poll gets sent out on Friday the 18th with the expectations that all directors answer by end of business day on the 22nd. Does that work for everyone?
Should do, yes. Thank you.
Okay. For other directors, can I get a thumbs up or something? Just
I've made it clear for a while I'm working in the fall.
Yes.
And it's usually 3 long hours. I will not be able to take time off in the middle of the day. So this is a time slot that we're setting in stone. I will not be able to attend meetings in the fall. Just outright.
okay, I'm sure. So you know what? We can schedule a one-on-one or maybe work with Director Muller to figure out a solution that works for you.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just
either planning or we can work out some sort of agreement. I don't want to say anything out loud just yet.
Okay.
I want to make sure that you have an equitable experience as well, just so you know.
Hey, if it works better for everybody else, and this is really something that's important to the board. I'm one board director, and I shouldn't sway the decision. It's just I won't be able to attend.
I will try to make sure that we have some sort of decision that works for everyone. So we've had in previous boards certain exceptions for directors not participating during terms, but this is not something that we can discuss out loud just yet. So we can schedule a one-on-one and then work with the director of policy research and advocacy on finding a solution that works for us that is still in compliance with the board policies. All right. Are there any other questions in regards to how we will book the meetings for the fall semester? Okay, as I see none, this concludes our open session for the board of directors. For the very kind people in the gallery, oh wait, you're right, sorry. I completely apologize. We will now move into the Brantford Student Life Levy election, where there is a requirement for one Brantford, or is it two? No, the brief said two. Two Brantford elected? Yeah. Where the requirement is for 2 Brantford directors to be elected to the committee. Is there also a third one? 1 second, I'll pull them up. Just pulling up the policy.
Under the briefing material, the composition of the committee is the chair of the board, 3 additional board members selected by the board, 2 of which must be from the Brantford campus, the president and CEO, the VP programming and services Brantford, so on and so forth.
All right, so is Director Ellis, Director Ellis isn't here. Director Muller, do we by default nominate Director Ellis to the role as she is the 2nd Brantford director?
Yes.
Okay, so we will then now just have nominations for 1 additional director from the Waterloo campus to be on the Student Life Levy Committee, as Director Corey and Director Ellis are nominated by default. The Student Life Levy Committee is actually one that I personally found to be the most one of the most interesting. This is where you actually get to put student dollars at work and make a difference to improve the Brantford campus. So I highly recommend that a director who is interested in physical infrastructure development or programming, like one-time programming, to nominate themselves or nominate another director to this committee. So I'm going to open the floor up for nominations. Can I get a nomination on the floor at least?
I nominate Director Hamilton.
Director Hamilton, do you stand?
No, I do not.
Okay.
I will nominate myself.
Okay, Vice Chair, do you stand?
I will stand.
One of these days I want to be done.
Gotta take one.
Director Sloan? Director Sloan?
Yeah, I'd like to nominate Director Russo.
Director Russo, do you stand?
Sure, I'll stand.
All right. So any other nominations for the Student Life Levy election? Okay, as I see none, we will now move into the election period. I just want to verify with both directors that with the Vice Chair and Director Russo that you both are still stand for the election.
I just have a question. Can only one of us be elected, or can we both be elected?
No, to my knowledge, it would only be one.
Okay, because I can do it if the vice chair doesn't want to do it.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
first,
I was going to say if you did want to do it in the experience, then I will.
Yeah,
unstand.
I can do it. I'm only on one committee, so I can do it.
Perfect. So, Vice Chair, do you stand down from the election? Vice Chair Rubinoff, do you
No.
stand down?
Sorry, I will unstand. Stand down. Sit down.
Okay. All right. So we will now move into any questions or comments about the nomination of Director Russo to the Student Life Levy Committee. Okay. As I see none, we will now move into voting. Any objection to the motion? Any abstentions?
just quickly Ian, correct me if I'm wrong, but as a formality, I think the Brantford directors have to be acclaimed too, just based on the wording of the policy.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so I will restate the motion. So actually, I'd like to motion that the Board of Directors elect Director Ellis, Director Corey, and Director Russo to the Brantford Student Life Levy Committee. Can I get a seconder on the motion? Director Hamilton, do you second?
Yes.
We will now move, any questions or concerns? Okay, as I see none, we will now move into voting. Any objections? Any abstentions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Raise your hand. The motion passes 0-0 to 8. Thank you so much. All right, so now this finally concludes our open session of the August 15th meeting. I'd like to thank our gallery members for being here and for attending this meeting. We, if you would like to reach out to me so that I can give you I guess, information as to when the first September meeting will be, I'd be more than happy to do that for you. So, all right, I'd like to get a motion on the table that the Board of Directors proceed to an in-camera session. Do I have a motion on the table? Director Corey? Do I have a seconder, Director Hamilton? Okay, any questions or concern or comments? As I see none, we will now move into voting. Any objections? Abstentions? All those in favor?
Aye.
The motion passes 0 to 8. And please go to the Microsoft Teams meeting for our in-camera session. See you there soon.
Yeah.